How to make money in real estate for beginners. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make money in real estate for beginners. Everybody starts somewhere. I did too. So pay attention to this video and I'm going to show you how to do it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do real estate without having upfront capital, without raising money from friends and family, and without making mistakes that can put you out of business the first day that you start. And at the end, I'm going to share an amazing business opportunity for you that's related to real estate, but is not exactly real estate, but it's going to get you those lump sums of cash that you need to fuel a real estate business. So let's get right into it. So when you're a beginner in real estate, you look around and you say, all these things I could do. I could fix and flip houses. That looks exciting, right? You see it on TV, it looks amazing. You could do short-term rentals. You see people in glamorous locations. You know, this guy converted an airplane to an Airbnb and look at all the money he's making. It's really cool, interesting and fun. You could have places in, Istanbul and travel the world and be really great. You see people that are more like the grinders. They're having rental apartments and they got cash flow from the rentals. They're not doing work every month. They're kind of going checking on their properties, having a good freedom life. It's wonderful, down to earth, great. You have all those things. You have people doing development, all these things. So what do you do as a beginner? So here's the thing. When I was a beginner, I was young when I started in this real estate business in my 20s. I didn't have any money, didn't have a family with a lot of money. And the problem was, where did I get the capital? And it was tough. And I was at the time buying properties at foreclosure auctions and doing a fix and flip business. And I could afford to buy pretty much a property at a time. I would get the property, I'd fix it up, and then I'd resell it. And I was making money about once every 6 months. So I was making great money. I'd make like tens of thousands of dollars every 6 months. But in between that, I was starving. And it took a really long time to get that going, especially as a young guy. And even as an older guy now, I don't want to put all my money out there. I don't want it out there because things happen. Weird things happen. When we came into the pandemic, I owned a building that was shared office space rentals. All my tenants were gone. By law, they were gone. They were out of there. And I lost all my rents. And I had to feed cash to that beast to keep it going. I think that when you're in the real estate business, you really want to have lump sums of cash, or you want to use a strategy that you can work as a beginner. And let me give you a couple of strategies. One strategy is wholesaling. Wholesaling is where you find good deals on properties, you put them under contract, and then you assign or sell your contract to someone else that's going to close on it. A good customer for that is a fix and flip real estate investor, because it is tough to find places cheap enough to fix and flip. The general number, just so you know, you want to buy a fix and flip for about 70% of retail minus your fix-up cost. So if it's a $400,000 house, you want to buy it for about $300,000 minus your fix-up costs. That way you're building the margin you need. And that's hard to do. You can imagine if you're telling someone who owns a house in a $400,000 neighborhood that, oh yeah, I can pay $300,000 plus this needs $50 in work, so I can pay $250 or maybe $260 for it. That's hard to do, right? But that's why you have value. So when you're a wholesaler, you have to get very good at marketing, very good at talking to a lot of sellers, weeding out the really want to sell versus would kind of like to sell if it's for the right price. You got to weed through that, and that takes time, money, and effort. I think wholesaling is much harder than it looks, and a lot of people are trying to do it. But if you're going to do it, here are my tips. Really study the marketing aspect of it. Talk to sellers that are in distress, meaning someone that's going to lose their house to a foreclosure auction, someone that's going through a divorce and it's scorched earth and they just want to dump the property, something like that. An estate where they don't want to fix up the property, it needs some work, and they'll just give it away because of that. So you need to get good at locating that. And you also need to develop a really strong set of buyers, meaning people that have ready cash, that make quick decisions, and that are hungry for properties. So you got to develop both of those sides, and then you can make some decent money as a wholesaler. It's okay, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think some better options would be doing short-term rentals as a property manager. This strategy involves connecting up with people who have properties that they rent out and proposing them, look, I'll put it up as a short-term rental, I'll put it on VRBO or Airbnb, I'll take beautiful pictures of it, and I'll manage the whole thing. I'll interact with the tenants, I'll go over if they need something, I'll make sure contractors are in there, if a toilet gets clogged, I'll make sure a plumber gets over. You make sure of all that, and you do it for a percentage. So you do it for a percentage of the revenue that comes in. Those percentages vary, but I have a friend who does it, and she's in a really high-end vacation area, where I live basically, and what she does there is she manages the properties for people, charges 30% of the monies that she collects, and It's significant money. She has over 60 properties she's managing, and she's really making great money, and she's using some of that money to buy some of her own houses that she can then put in her short-term rental program. That's good. The only risk with short-term rentals and buying houses is that if they change the rules and prohibit short-term rentals, then you got a bunch of houses that you can no longer get that kind of revenue out of. So just make sure if you're going to buy houses as short-term rentals, don't overpay on the expectation that you could pay anything because you get higher rents. Because if the city pulls the rug out from under you, meaning they prohibit short-term rentals, you need to be able to sell those properties and move on. So I like the manager thing better for that, because if the city pulled the rug out from under you and said no more short-term rentals, if you're just a property manager, you can walk away. You don't have obligations to a mortgage or anything like that. You can just walk away. So that's that. The other thing I really like, and it's not a sexy business, but boy, is it a good business, is high quality apartment rentals. I love. Now, when you're new in the business, that's a little more challenging. You say, well, how am I going to get the money for that? So if you're going to do that, I would get some good education and really study it. And then just realize if you're going to do that business, you're going to need to raise capital to do it, which means you need some rich friends and a rich family to help support you, or you're going to do a lot of work. So that's a little difficult. If you're not in this position, then I've got another idea for you that I think is hands down the best way to start in real estate. And that's with the real estate related business that I call overages. What overages are is monies left over from a foreclosure auction that former owners don't know about. And the business is we help them get that money that they didn't know existed for a percentage. And you can make lots of big lump sums of cash, I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars on these deals, without putting money out. Essentially just getting lists, you're getting in touch with the people, offering to help them get the money. If they want, you'll get it for them for a percentage. It's a really great business. What I like about it, especially for a beginner, is it generates lump sums of cash. You don't have to put a lot of money out. You don't have to invest a lot to get the business started. You don't even need a location. All you need is a phone, an internet connection, and a computer, and some education, and you can be in this business. So I really like the business. It's the one that I'm doing. I have what is probably the largest overages business in the country. I also own lots of rental real estate, so I own both. But I would tell you, if I were beginning, I would definitely be looking at overages because I'm going to generate those lump sums of cash. Or I'd be looking at short-term rental management, one of those two things. I love overages, it's what I do, so I can explain more about that. What's great about it is you're helping people who've lost their home. They're really down and out, really in a tough spot. You're going to come along, get them this big windfall they never expected, never knew existed. It feels great, and you make great money. So I'm like, what could be better than that? It's the greatest thing in business. So I love that business, and I think you probably will too. But let me show you more about it, then we can give it a fair assessment. So to learn more about the overages business, either if you see a link above my shoulder, you can click on that. If your browser doesn't support a link, then there's a link under the video. Click on that, and you'll get my intro to the overages business. I'll spend about 20 minutes just really stepping you through it, showing you how it works. And you can see if this is the right one for you. Because I think as a beginner, the most important thing is generate some cash. Either do the short-term rental thing or do the overages where you're going to generate lump sums of cash, fill up your bank account, and then you can get some real estate and be a true real estate investor without having to beg people to put money into your deals. And you can get confidence and get really good at doing business in general. And I think overages is great. Short-term rentals is fine too. But let me show you the overages business. So again, click on that link or click on the link down below. I will see you over my intro to the overages business, and we'll see if this could be exactly your answer as a beginner, how to get started in real estate.